Hi there, this is Julie Alexandria. I'm here with James Oliver Curry, and today we're talking about the best Mexican restaurants in New York City. James, tell us about your favorite places here.
Well, Mexican cuisine in New York City has had an interesting history. You know, there was a restaurant or two as far back as the 1930s or 40s. Supposedly the first real Mexican restaurant to open in New York was in the early to mid-80s, Rela Martinez. Around the same time, a place called La Rosa Mexicana opened, and so those two are considered pioneers in the field. What you end up getting, though, in New York City, as opposed to, say, in Los Angeles or San Francisco, are restaurants that serve a kind of a nuevo mexicano, which is like a new form of Mexican that can also be a little expensive, using some American ingredients, and almost be like a fusion then. So it's not always the most authentic Mexican food or something that you'll find like in a taco stand in some south of the border kind of situation. I'm going to talk about three that represent, I think, different trends in New York City. We'll start with Rosa Mexicana because I mentioned it and it's a pioneer. It now is almost a chain also. They've opened up originally on the Upper East Side, then closer to Lincoln Center neighborhood, and then most recently near Union Square on 18th Street. And Rosa Mexicana is one of these places where it's a grandiose entrance. David Rockwell designed the interior. You're going to see a whole wall of a waterfall with these little miniature divers attached to it. It's very colorful, it's upscale, it's not cheap. Everything about the food is also equally, I think, grandiose and designed to be impressive. It starts almost always, people like to order their margaritas, particularly their frozen pomegranate margaritas. So,
is that their specialty?
That is their specialty. The thing about Rosa Mexicana is that they also have tableside guacamole preparation, which I love. You know, you can see it being made fresh. They can prepare it to your spiciness. Moving on from there, this is the kind of restaurant where you can get your chicken in a mole sauce, in taco form or enchilada form, but more likely you'll want to go a little more upscale. So you might order a filet mignon that has a mushroom tequila cream sauce, for example, or you'll order a seared Chilean sea bass that might have a jalapeno potato like pancake. So incorporating, like I said, those Mexican ingredients into somewhat more Americanized menu. There are other restaurants that completely represent wholly different trends. At the very opposite side of the spectrum is a place called Mercadito, which means little market, and they have spawned also another restaurant called Mercadito Grove. So Mercadito is in the East Village, and Mercadito Grove is the West Village, 7th Avenue. What you get there is really a compilation of smaller dishes. If you want to order guacamole, for example, you won't get one big guacamole that's $14 or something, which is not an uncommon price at these New York restaurants, but rather three different samplers. One might be infused or have some sort of mango or some sort of fruit in it. Another one might be super hot or have a chipotle sauce that makes it slightly smoky. So you can get, almost like a taste test of guacamoles. Moving on from there, at Mercadito or Mercadito Grove, you'll get these minis. They have mini tacos. It's part of a little craze. New York City seems to love mini anything, mini creme brulees, mini burgers. So mini tacos are a nice option there. Then you get into the range of tacos themselves, and instead of seeing maybe three different kinds or your typical chicken, beef, cheese, you will see all kinds of ingredients that can include duck, crab, all kinds of unusual sauces and marinades and salsas as well. But nonetheless, it's Mercadito and Mercadito Grove represent to me a place where you can have a lot of smaller dishes. You can really get a sampler plate almost customized to your palate. And the third place that I'd want to talk about is the trendiest of the bunch, and this is La Esquina. From the outside, it looks like it may just be a taco stand. It says corner. I don't know if you've been. It's absolutely fun to take someone there. You have to have reservations to get into the main dining room. And you wouldn't be able to find the main dining room unless you read about it or had been there before, because you walk into what looks like the taco stand and you just see a bunch of people standing around, maybe eating at a counter. What you have to know is that there's a guy who has a list, usually a clipboard. Your name will be on it because you have a reservation. You then descend down these stairs, go through a kitchen that's actually a functioning kitchen. There's guys in there working. You almost feel like you're about to get lost, and then you suddenly stumble into this vast, I almost call it torture chamber-like room. It's full of candles, candelabras, gates. There's a wall of tequila on one side, a very trendy crowd drinking at the bar, sitting at the lounge, and beyond that at tables, basically fine dining. The service is very good, and I think the options are also nice. There are must-tries at a place La Esquina. One of them is this grilled corn dish. there's cheese, and there's lime. And if you've never tried it, it's like nothing else you've tried, because I think most people eat corn just to have corn on the cob, or I don't even know how else you really can eat it. But this takes it to a whole nother level, and it's not very expensive. I think it's about $5 or less. Beyond that, you can get a dish, for example, that's a combination of high and low, which a lot of people are doing, which is quesadillas with huitlacoche, which is a corn fungus that tastes a little bit like a mushroom and a corn. It's actually got all kinds of other names as well, but it's considered a delicacy in Mexico, and it's worth a try if you've never had it. It's actually spelled with an H. That's another thing that I would highly recommend as a starter.
So, James, when you're going to go out to one of these, as you coined it, Nuevo Mexican restaurants, what are we looking at as far as the tab?
Generally speaking, Nuevo Mexicano is expensive in New York City. It's designed to be upscale Mexican, and it's experimental to some degree and high-end, sometimes even white tablecloth and all. And so you are going to get dishes that probably start in the entree part of the menu at $14 or $15. I know that that's the case at Mercadito, and it's certainly the case at La Esquina and Rosa Mexicano, but can easily go into the 20s. That, along with some alcohol, and you're easily going to spend more than $100, which for some people is a lot of money for a Mexican meal, but it's a different kind of Mexican meal.
Thank you so much. And if you're in the mood for Mexican, here are 3 great choices.
1, 2, 3.
To order your own weekly copy of Time Out New York magazine for only $19.97 a year, call 1-866-929-1112. And always stay one step ahead.